Thanks for joining us today. We want to give you, leading up to Web Optimization Summit, a few quick tips, small changes you can make on your websites, landing pages, digital marketing right now over the next week, over the next month to make significant changes. And when I'm thinking about small changes that make big results, I'm thinking about a guy we call the button man because he's done so much testing on call to action buttons. That's Michael Aagaard. He is a conversion copywriter from Copenhagen, Denmark. He's a founder of ContentVerve.com. He'll be speaking at Web Optimization Summit and is joining us today to share a few tips. So, Michael, the first thing I wanted to ask you is, why does conversion optimization matter so much? I remember the first time I met you was Optimization Summit in Atlanta, and you were just so fired up about A/B testing and conversion optimization. Why? Why should marketers care about conversion optimization?
Well, I think kind of my story, anyways, is I started my career in online marketing at an agency, and I was an SEO copywriter. So we spent all this time generating traffic to websites, but in many cases that was all that the clients got was more traffic, and they didn't really get more sales or more conversions. And at some point, I kind of just it dawned upon me, it's like, well, maybe we can do something on the website that will actually get people to do what we want them to do, because traffic without conversions is pretty much a waste of time and money. So that led me to start reading all these books about marketing and stuff, and most of them give you rules. Always do this, always do that. Never have more than 8 words in your headline. Always write 700 words, and use as many verbs as possible, or use no verbs at all. And I thought, cool, I got the 10 rules. Now I can sell anything to anyone online. The only problem was that it didn't work, man. And so I kind of initially went through this, I understand everything, so kind of I understand nothing. And then I started watching the marketing experiments videos, and they really got me inspired, to start kind of, you guys, all of a sudden there were these guys who weren't like preaching, these are the rules, we know everything. They're saying, we don't know everything, but we can help you find out what's right in your, conversion scenario, as I like to call it. And so that kind of got me going. And then initially, I got the opportunity at the office to do a few landing page tests. And the funny thing was that the most successful test we did, that I was involved with, was just a simple button test where we changed the copy of the button and got a huge lift. And that was a bigger lift combined than all the creative versions we'd done of the landing pages before. And that was really, I was like, wow, there's gotta be something here. And then I went to Optimization Summit in Atlanta, and that blew my mind. So yeah, I think so the main thing here is that traffic without conversions doesn't matter, and so that's one of the main reasons why you want to focus on getting people to do what you want them to do on the website.
Yeah, you make a great point. I was reading Web Trends put out some data yesterday that marketers spend $92 on driving traffic for every dollar they spent on conversion, right? We don't want traffic, we want conversion, we want final results. So Michael, you're a guy, you've attended many marketing Sherpa summits before, you've spoken at them. You're now going to come to Web Optimization Summit New York. You're going to be a featured speaker. I know you were testing out some of this yesterday. You were a keynote in Copenhagen at a conversion optimization summit. Tell me, what was one of the tests that you shared that had the biggest response with that audience that people listening today can learn from?
Well, I mean, I always use tons of case studies in my presentations. Even for a 30-minute session, I have about 17 or 20 case studies in there. Because every time I make a point, I want to have a real example that I've been involved with to kind of underline how this would work in the real world. So a recent test that just kind of concluded that was that really got a huge reaction. I opened with it yesterday. Was a simple test that I performed for a client on a pop-up. And what we were testing was a 30-second delay versus exit intent. Exit intent is when the software can kind of see that you're displaying behavior that kind of shows the software that you're going to leave the website. That's what triggers the pop-up. So I showed the pop-up and I told them 2 different variations, and I asked the crowd, so how many of you think that the 30-second delay did best? And nobody raised their hand. Then I said, how about exit intent? The whole crowd raised their hand. Then I showed the results, and actually it was the other way around. The one with the 30-second delay actually got 142% more conversions, signups for the newsletter. So if we're talking about a small investment, all we had to do for that one was just go to the tool and go, so that's a huge lift. And I asked the crowd also, said, so how many of you would like, 142% increase in email signups? Everybody raises their hand. And I said, okay, so how many of you want to spend 6 months to get that lift? How many of you want to spend, 2 weeks to get that? So, yeah. So I think, for me anyway, one of the things I've spent a lot of time optimizing is or looking for is these small opportunities where a small investment that we can, do without too much research, without too much, investment. We can do this quickly and we can get a huge lift, okay? Now, I know that there are a lot of fluke tests out there with bad data and stuff where people, they conclude the test way too soon and small changes, big lifts and stuff. So that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about serious research here and trying to identify when, why, and how do small changes impact conversion. And that's pretty much what I'm going to be talking about, at the summit here in New York.
Another place where small changes can really impact conversion is on those call to action buttons. Like I joked, you're the button man, but when we were planning this session, I'm so amazed. I'm here in Jacksonville, Florida. Michael's there in Copenhagen. We're planning this session. He showed me all these cool tests on the computer. It's just so cool. We can share it over the miles. But one of the best ones was just one change to one word you made in the button really made a big difference, right?
Yeah. So one of the things I think that's important to understand with going for small changes and big lifts is that, it's wrong to assume that any little thing you're going to change is going to have an impact. So we're going to move the logo 1 pixel to the left and that will have a huge impact. No. I mean, you have to have a solid hypothesis backing it up. And so what I've been able to identify is that when you're dealing with mission critical elements, elements that the user has to go through in order to get from one end of the funnel to the other, those elements, small tweaks have huge impact because those are some of the few elements that people are actually going to, pay attention to, and they're actually going to read the copy and they're actually going to have an opinion about, what's in front of them. Buttons, like you're saying, a great example, there's a tendency that buttons are just part of the design, but actually they play a crucial role in conversion because, they tie every single step of the funnel together. Every time you ask anyone to do anything online, they have to go through a call to action to be able to do it, okay? So small changes, especially to the copy, have huge impact. So for example, the color and the position of the call to action is very important. It's going to tell you where is the action, how am I going to get to the next step? But after you've located a button, I've performed so many tests where I can prove that people actually read the copy in there. And to get them to, just that last nudge to make them make the right decision, copy has huge impact. The test you were talking about now is, I performed this on several different websites and in multiple languages, and it works every time. So just changing, for example, if you have a button that says order now, for example, or, order whatever, if you change that to get, I've seen, significance lifts over and over again. You say, that's just one word. Why does that have such an impact? Again, one of Dr. Flint's optimization principles, that is not the magnitude of the change on the page that impacts conversion, it's how it impacts the mind. It's the magnitude of the change in the mind, okay? So what would you rather do? Would you rather go online and order something, or would you rather get something, It's a big difference. What happens after? If I'm about to click a button that says order, how many steps are there? What are these guys going to make me do? Another thing is that order is very business centric. What do we want people to do on this page? We want them to order. What should we write in the button? Oh, we'll write order. So you have to think on the, change the perspective and say, is that really the best thing to tell, our potential customers, that we want them to order, or should we focus on what we're giving them, what they can get? And then, so it's, I could go on. But I find stuff like that fascinating.
Yeah, so don't focus on what we as a company, what our objectives are. Focus on what customers want. Stop ordering them around. No matter what language you're using, tell them what they can get. Well, Michael, thanks for your time. I look forward to seeing you in New York City.
I look forward to seeing you guys as well.
And thank you guys for watching.